Hey everybody! It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I've sure missed it. Part of the problem was that I had a temporary shortage of ideas. Also, I spent a lot of time and energy making the first installment of my latest series, Somewhat Supremely Excellent Anime Reviews. If you haven't checked it out yet, go! Even if you aren't into anime. Anyway, let's get down to business. After all, I'm sure you've all just been absolutely wretched during your time without a new random top 5 list. What is my grand returning random top 5 going to be about? Well, I realized that around the turn of the year, everyone and their mother seems to like doing some list about something from the past year. So I figured, why should I not join in? That's why I'm naming the top 5 most disappointing video game moments of 2008. Yes, I know, it's like February and I'm a little late, but my anime review sucked up all of my time, so deal with it. Besides, I personally think that 2008 was a pretty fucking bad year for gaming altogether. Sure, there were some good things like Mirror's Edge turned out alright, the Nintendo's Wii sales are still through the roof, and there were a number of good titles released all around. But somehow, I think that the bad still outweighed the good. I'll explain as we go into what I found to be the random top 5 most disappointing video game moments of 2008. Politicians in the mainstream media have always hated video games. I'm still not sure why, but I'm guessing it's just one of those laws of nature, like the relationship between cats and dogs or between Kirk lovers and Picard fans. 2008 seemed to me to be an especially bad year for negative publicity towards video games, which is surprising considering that one of the industry's biggest enemies, Jack Thompson, was disbarred. Much of the negative publicity stemmed from the wild success of Grand Theft Auto 4, as dozens of news stories connecting violent acts with video games arose month after month. There are even some stories and studies that tried to connect school shootings with video games. Most recently, we've had the Video Game Health Labeling Act as proposed to Congress by dumbshit Californian Representative Joe Baca. As with every year, I'd hoped that 2008 would help the mainstream world lean a little closer to loving games and gamers, but between the constant news stories and bad political attention towards video games, I'd say we gamers need to secure our lancers and buckle down for a long, hard war. Okay, so there were a lot of attempts to remake and add sequels to previously developed franchises this year. Some good, some bad. Many of these games at the time of their announcements got us all hyped as hell, and then dropped the ball when we picked them up. Most notable, I think, was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which just didn't deliver what old fans of the franchise like me desired. There was also the newest installment of Animal Crossing, which, though it's a good game, lacked enough new ideas to be considered a step up from the previous two games. Though I don't own the game, and I generally don't care about the franchise, I also heard that Star Wars The Force Unleashed was a major disappointment. There were also a few old franchises that I hoped to see, but didn't. A new Kid Icarus game for the Wii, which has been hinted at for a while now, still was not given an official release date. I was hoping to hear an announcement for this at a Nintendo conference that followed up E3, but in its place, all I got was a Wii version of the popular boxing franchise, Punch-Out! With any luck, we'll see some better adaptations of our old favorites in the future.
What the fuck? He's putting Super Smash Brawl on the list? Blasphemy! How dare you put the greatest game in existence on a list of disappointments? Why, yada.
Okay, whether or not that was your reaction, yes, it's true, I'm adding Super Smash Bros. Brawl to my list of disappointments from 2008. Clarifier, I love Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I really do. It's a good game, but for all of the hype it was given, it should have been better. Okay, yes, there are new characters that are awesome, a bunch of new kick-ass stages, a somewhat decent level editor, the ability to capture pictures and videos, and a new story mode and challenge list. There's a lot to do in the game, but you know what? Upgrades like that are expected when you're making a sequel. I felt that Brawl was offering me something far beyond your normal sequel, and instead I just got a normal, though still good, sequel. What's that? The online, you say? Well, the online capabilities are the main reason that I'm putting Brawl on this list. They are pathetic. In my mind, the online feature of Brawl was going to be this kick-ass experience in which I could go on and dominate any random noob I wanted to at any time of the day, or hook up with my friends and go head-to-head with them. Holy shit, I thought. This could actually give me a reason to play Super Smash competitively. What I got instead is a bullshit, unbearably laggy server that works only about 50% of the time, and in which I can only do 4v4 free-for-alls. The friend mode is a little bit better, except for the fact that it's still laggy and requires the exchange of friend codes in order to work. It was a major letdown for what probably should have been the best game ever made. It was said that 2008 was going to be the year for the PS3. The big black stallion was finally going to claim its place on the top of the sales charts, and skeptics would finally be silenced. This was not the case. The skepticism kept on coming because of the failed exclusives such as Haze, and the fact that there was still not much of a price drop. Well, darn. I personally was hoping that Sony would give me a reason to go out and plump down the money that I spent on my new guitar to get a PS3 instead. After all, we've seen what happens when Microsoft dominates an industry. Still, there is one event that sticks out in my mind as the biggest blow that the PS Triple took in 2008. A blow that made me cringe, shudder, and say, ooh, damn. Little Big Planet. This PS3 exclusive was said to be the new poster child of the PlayStation, the new Mario of the industry, the savior to all PS3 fanboys. The hype leading up to this game was incredible. I hadn't seen Sony lovers so hyped since before Layer's release. And then the game was released. Based on what the holiday sales chart said, I'd have to say it didn't go well. E3 is one of the biggest press shows for the video game industry in which major companies get up on stage and start the hype for what they've got coming. In theory. It seems like every year the major companies draw straws to see whose turn it is to utterly embarrass themselves on stage.
$599 whoops, Ridge Racer!
So here's this giant enemy crab.
Well, in 2008, Nintendo apparently got the short straw and delivered a performance, an abomination of a presentation that topped even Sony's 2006 conference. I skipped a whole first period of school to watch Nintendo abso-fucking-lutely embarrass themselves. They had an awful holiday lineup, only one game that I cared about, a main speaker who just fucking scared me, and the biggest insult to the industry since E-fucking-T on the Atari 2600, Wii Music. But Miyamoto surely helped spice up the conference, right? He's always good for getting people riled up. Psh, bullshit. He's the one who introduced Wii Music. It was really more the way that Wii Music was introduced that pissed me off. Let me try to relate. The conference had been an utter disappointment, and it was coming to its close. It was then announced that they had one final major announcement. The lights dimmed and smoke filled the room. I had to resist rising from my seat in anticipation. My face was inches away from my computer screen in awe of what I was seeing. My heart pounded wildly as I realized that Nintendo might be about to sweep me away with a fantastic announcement that would save the whole show. The suspense was vicious. Then, drumming was heard. The curtain lifted, and I gazed with a dropped jaw and beheld the sight of some asshole playing a set of invisible drums with a Wiimote, and thus fell into an abyss of sorrow and despair. I was distraught. There would be no Kid Icarus. There would be no new Mario. There would be no new Zelda. There would be nothing but the terror that was Wii Music. So it's not just Wii Music that I'm counting as the most disappointing moment of 2008, but rather Nintendo's entire fucking E3 conference. The conference was so bad that Nintendo actually apologized for it later. I'm not making that up. It was boring, disappointing, corny, and had one of the worst climaxes in the history of press conferences. In any case, Nintendo's shitty conference concludes my list. As I've said many times before, that's all for now. See you next time.